And the other thing I am going to do, here comes Brianna. The other thing I am going to do that I admittedly forgot to turn on this morning, and I always like to verbally talk about it, and I didn't have an opportunity to do that. So I am going to go ahead and turn on the closed caption, the enabling transcription this afternoon. And if that is something that you would prefer not to see on your screen, you can go to your little CC in a box and disable that for yourself. But I am going to turn that on if that's helpful for our attendees. And I apologize that I didn't have that enabled this morning. So I am going to go ahead and get us going here. Welcome to this session. This is Claiming a Space with presenters Lauralee Bidwell and Katrina Threat from Anne Arundel County Public Library and William Wallace from Wacomico Public Libraries. And their full bios are available to read on our Teen Connect website, which we will drop into the chat in a little bit. And my name is Carrie Sanders. I'm the Youth Services Coordinator with the Maryland State Library, and I will be the host for this session. While we're getting started, please fill out the sign-in sheet that Anita has dropped into the chat for you, and include your email and your name there so that we can make sure to get you follow-up information in regards to this session. After it, we will have the CE forms and all those things, recordings, all those things, and we want to make sure we get that to you. So please make sure to fill in the sign-in sheet. We are in a Zoom meeting, surprise, it's where we have been many times in the last few years. So just to go over some quick tips and tricks, just to make sure that you are aware of all those little things about Zoom. In the bottom left-hand corner is your option for muting and to stop your camera. We love to see you on camera, so please show your face if you can, if you have a camera, but please mute. If you are not speaking, I can also take care of any muting if I hear any kind of background noise that might be distracting for our presenters, but we definitely would love to hear you unmute and ask questions and chat when we get to the discussion part of our hour. Feel free to also use your video if it's available, because we love to see your face. If you are calling in from a phone, you can use *6 to mute yourself. I'm not sure anybody is on their phone, but that's an option. Please use the chat to ask any questions, or you can raise your hand during the Q&A part of our session. And Anita and I will keep our eye on the chat. So if you have questions, pop them there. William and Katrina and Lauralee, you don't need to worry about trying to keep an eye on that. We will do that so that we don't miss anything, and we'll make sure to go back and cover those. The other option too is when you are not presenting, if you see something that you can answer easily in the chat that would be directed to you, you can go ahead and do that at that time. But whatever works for you, we will make sure to get all those questions answered before the end of the hour. If you would like to raise your hand when we get to the questions, you can do that using *9 if you're on a phone. In the top right-hand corner is your Get Your View spot, where you can go from gallery view to speaker view. We will spotlight William and Katrina and Lauralee as they are presenting, so you can keep track of where they are and where they're speaking, but you also have that option on your computer to adjust your view as you like. And if you're having any tech issues, just please share in the chat, and we will be sure to try to help you as quickly as we can. Today, there will be part sharing from our co-panelists and then part discussion, which means there will be plenty of time for questions. If you can, hold the questions to the end, but if you think of something and need to pop it in the chat so you don't forget, like I said, we will monitor and make sure that nothing gets lost. And I think that's about everything. Let me also go to our next slide. These are our agreements again that we reviewed this morning, but just as a reminder, as we move into open discussion in this session and in the one that will follow this afternoon, that we will follow the ropes agreements. And R is to respect yourself and others as we have conversations and talk about claiming a space. The O is for being open to hearing new thoughts, perhaps new ideas, things to think about. The O is also for ouchie and oops, which means something you may say, you change your mind and think, maybe I didn't mean it quite that way, or maybe that came out the wrong way, or maybe I've changed my mind about something. All that is fine. That's a part of us learning from each other, that we are open-minded and make those adjustments in our thinking as needed. The P is to participate and to pass, which means that we all want to hear from each other, and that makes we make sure that we participate when there's something that we have to say, but we also know to step back and let someone else have that opportunity to share as well. The E is escuchar, our Spanish word for the day, which means to listen, to be really actively listening and engaged, to really intentionally learn from each other. The E is also being open to the experience, and the S is to be sensitive to each other's, what we bring to this conversation, our experiences, and that this is a safe space for really valuable conversation to support our teens. And if those all sound like something that you can work with as our parameters as we go through this session this afternoon, if you can give me a thumbs up or a yes or a smile in the chat or on camera, that would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, then I think it is time for me to stop sharing and turn it over to Anita and, oh no, let's see, William, you're going to go first, right, William? So William is going to get us going, and we're going to talk about claiming a space. And I'm going to go find William and get you spotlighted. There we go. Oh, William, you might be muted.
Okay, I'm going to share my these are my notes, not meant to be actual presentations, but it'll help going along maybe. To introduce myself, I'm William Wallace. I am a library assistant at Wycomico Public Libraries, the Pittsfield branch specifically. All right, let's see. I'm going to focus on inclusive spaces. And I want to make it clear that I'm going to focus on race, queerness, and what I call socioeconomic culture, because these are the things that I'm the most familiar with, but I feel like some of these things can be, can work across marginalized identities, but these are the ones that I'm most familiar with. The first thing is teens of color, their race is inseparable from who they are. You can't, separate the two. Colorblindness seems like a good idea, but overall, it's ultimately harmful to the person of color, regardless of their age, because it matters whether it's how they perceive themselves or how others see them as people of color. So they're affected by whether it's something that they personally hold near and dear, or whether it's just how somebody else sees them and applies certain prejudices to them. Race, helps orient a lot of people of color. It is a big part of their identity. It has helped shape, who they are, how they see the world, their cultural traditions, and it's a big part of their sense of self. Their self-esteem is a big part of it. It's, the whole Black Girls Rock and other initiatives. It's important because in some cases they weren't celebrated. It's a good example is dark-skinned people of color. It is important for them to acknowledge their dark skin, because for a long time a dark-skinned person wasn't necessarily seen as beautiful. We've heard, or at least I've heard, Viola Davis talk about this and other people of color, and it's really a really important thing. And it's a big thing is it's not just about representation, it's about celebration. I think we'll see signs and pictures, and it's not enough to just like have those kids in the images or to have those kids present in the space. We have to it has to be clear that these kids are a valuable part of it, and in part because of their race. you know, and a space that doesn't nurture that part of their identity and make them feel valuable, not because of it, but you know, that recognizing that it's an aspect of who they are. Um, a space should be filled up with who is there, and not by the one set of cultural standards that is us as the librarians. Um, we should let them be part of the development process, whether formally or, you know, just recognizing who they are, figuring out ways to incorporate that into them, whether it's talking to them directly, making it a group discussion, or just paying attention to the things that they talk about and, you know, try to bring that into the space. I think is a really good thing to consider. Um, Queerness, I don't have a whole lot specifically to say about this because it's, you know, it is more anecdotal, just based on lived experience. I am a executive board member for the local PFLAG chapter here in Wycomico County. And at one point we were going to we were partnered with someone who was trying to do a documentary about the Black male queer experience. And he couldn't find any participants. I would have been the only Black gay man that was signed up to do it. And obviously that's not a big enough sample size for the presentation or the documentary. And the thing that I tried to explain to my fellow board members is that people are out in gradations. Um, I know there to be queer, Black, gay Black men in Salisbury and Wycomico County, but they're out to each other. They're out to specific groups of people, but being the face in a documentary about Black, uh, being a Black gay man in a documentary, that's a separate thing. That's a separate burden to bear. And for some people of color, it could alienate them from their community. And not everyone, I mean, again, like I said in the first piece, and you'll find a lot of overlap with these things because it's about intersectionality. I don't stop being Black when I put on my gay hat. I wear all the hats at once. Um, and you know, that's an important factor too, because at my time at UMES, that's my alma mater, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, I met many Black queer people, and a lot of them had lived this double life of who they were at UMES and who they were at home. And I think something to keep in mind is how parental support, how that plays into, or just family support, how that plays into how this person performs their identity and why these spaces may be particularly important for them. Because, you know, I've heard many of them talk about how how they talked, how they behaved, how they dressed changed when they went home, and how rewarding it was to be able to be themselves at, you know, UMES. So it's just to keep in mind that queerness doesn't have a particular look. It's not performed in a particular way. And it's to, you know, I think that's to keep in mind, to make the space as open as possible when, you know, even if you think that your space is very friendly, is to don't assume you've got it set up, because not everyone is going to be comfortable necessarily. And I'll kind of touch back on this in my next section, um, is to just try to be objective about how you're in being inclusive, because there's things that seem like they should work, but they don't always necessarily work for everyone. I would, I think a good way to look at this is the whole Maslow's hierarchy of need, because, you know, I think just based on the statistics I've seen, during my time in grad school is that the vast majority of librarians are still white. Many of them are middle class, and interrogate the like your privilege and how that influences your perspective when you're creating these spaces and programs and services for these kids, because you know, like it says in the slide, a teen who is facing housing or food insecurity, you know, doesn't necessarily have the time to sit down and like just grapple with who they are, how that's, affecting their life. They still want to be affirmed, but they're not necessarily, they don't have that luxury of thinking about their queerness. And in that way, they don't have necessarily time to be on the internet and in, internet groups where they're talking about it, where they can, you know, they don't have the language. They may not know what non-binary means. They may not know what gender queer is, but they still feel it. And I think we shouldn't um even when you're talking to queer teens, um, don't assume that they know. Don't don't use language and just assume that everybody's gonna get it. Is consider talking about it, because that may help them. This may be the only time and place and space where they can hear that kind of language, and it helps them better define who they are. Um, just from my own lived experience at UMES, you know, being in a place where you felt like you were a part of it, and it helps you really develop your own identity. Even with people who are different from you, this contrast again helps you to affirm who you are in this identity. So that's, something to really think about. And again, a lot of these, I think the point of this is the overlap. A lot of these things connect with each other because they are who I am. They are, um, a lot of these things are at play at all times when I am operating in the world. And that's something to keep in mind, is these are all housed within one person. And it's something to consider when you're dealing with teens in particular. So I think that's a really important thing. That's why I chose to focus on them in the slide. Um, Things to ask yourself: um, what does inclusive intersectional services, programming, and media look like? Why does it matter in this case to Black, Indigenous, people of color, or teen, BIPOC? It's the phrasing should be teens and young adults who are Indigenous, people of color. But BIPOC, everybody usually gets what that means. Why does it matter to them? Why would it be important to single out their race? Why does it matter seeing yourself represented in the signage for a program, in the space where you are? Um, and how are you representing those teams? Is it just one particular image of a Black, Asian, Latin teen? You know, where on the spectrum are you showing them? How are you showing them? How do you meet the needs of these kids to make the space that you're creating inviting? And I bring this up because it's really important to like zero in on the fact that it is not enough that there are Black, Asian, or Latin teens present at your programs and things like that, because no one person of color, no one anybody can represent the whole group. So it's just because you have them present doesn't mean that your program is necessarily inviting to everyone. That's why I bring up the whole socioeconomic culture, is that yes, it may be open to this person of color with this, with this, level of comfortability with all these other aspects, but is it open to everybody within that community? And what can you do to widen the scope of it? This is a program that I did to discuss these issues. And this is just like an example of like the questions that were discussed during the panel discussion, like things that you don't necessarily, I think people don't necessarily think about, because fan spaces are supposed to be open to everyone, but it's like, what are the realities of being a fan of color? What kind of problematic things do you experience when you're in this space where you're supposed to be able to express your joy and share your joy with other people who like the same thing as you? Um, you know, the second question kind of goes to the expectations about, you know, a fan of color, you know, that maybe, you know, they are also not necessarily cisgender, not necessarily heterosexual, you know. How can you help? What are some coping strategies that you can, you know, help make your space comfortable for this kid? Maybe you can't modify the whole thing, but maybe you talk to them individually, find out what they need. So I won't go through all of them, but I think this is just like things to consider when you're dealing with kids, that there's layers to being inclusive. And the last part is personal privilege. Is I want to praise Kevin Jace, because I think what he did is exactly what I like, because I did a teen reconnect a few years ago, and the way Kevin described his space really moved me, because he talked about it, and it conveyed a self-awareness about, you know, he understood his limitations, he understood what his space needed to be, and it, you know, and he also, he talked about this young lady who was hired into his team, and the way he talked about her, it reflected that he appreciated her as a person, and she also happened to be Black. And I think that he reflected exactly the kind of behavior you need as a librarian, who recognizes that you have limitations and sees people who can, you know, add to what you have to offer. And so it made me hopeful and glad to do this, because maybe I can do that for somebody else.
Thank you so much. I do want to just, I've been following really closely with what you've been saying, but I don't think the slides advanced. Could you check and see if you could share with us the slide you were just referencing with the things to consider? Because I think that would be great for folks to see.
Okay. What I can do is
Just
I can email it to you so that you can
that's
share it
fine.
with.
Yeah, I would love to have them so we can post them as a resource. That would be great.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. Any questions or thoughts for William, if you can just hang on to them? I think we're going to slide over to Laura Lee and Katrina, and then we'll take questions, comments in the second part of our hour. So Laura Lee, take it away.
All right, everyone can hear me? What's up? Cool. So my name is Laura Lee Bidwell. I am a librarian at the Glen Burnie branch of the Anne Arundel County Public Library, and I'm here today with my wonderful colleague, Katrina Threet. And we will be talking about both creating a physical space for teens to belong in the library, and also a virtual space. Go through here. So I will be talking about the physical space that I have been working on at the Glen Burnie branch. I started there in October of 2016. Just before that, my predecessor had succeeded in finally getting some kind of space where there hadn't been anything at all before. But we were able to shift some shelves. And so what became just like a 3-foot pathway became like a 5x17 space. So that was just kind of the beginning of what is slowly evolving into an awesome area for them. So when I took over, I really just sort of dove in. I did a lot of, weeding of the collection for condition just to make it attractive because they deserve, the pretty things too. I got new furniture, as you can see in this photograph. It's a metal red cafe table. I was able to get it off of Amazon with our foundation credit card that each branch has. But I really tried to go in and really give some detail to everything, make sure I was able to get some of their input. And in the beginning, it was small things like that. So like the table, getting proper signage, making sure I was consistent with, getting adults out of that area and letting them know, like, this is for them. Like, this is for teen students after school. This is their space on the weekends, all the time. And another small thing that I've done in the space was anonymous journaling, which was, low cost. I got a journal from the dollar store, something where they could express themselves and communicate with each other without actually, sharing their names or what have you, should they not want to. But those were little things that I was able to accomplish before I had a bigger picture in mind. So the current situation is I was able to get new book stands, or bookends, I should say, colorful bookends for our collection, just pops of color everywhere. New signs for the collection themselves, so like manga comics, teen fiction, teen audio, teen nonfiction, that kind of thing. And it really created such a difference in the space. Another thing that is pretty major and really helped make the space pop was we had our 50th anniversary for our branch in 2019. And I really wanted to exhibit teens in some way, shape, or form. And I asked my anime club to provide artwork if they wanted to. And so I made photocopies of those, and we were able to exhibit them during our celebration. They received lots of praise. But after the fact, I was like, I want to keep these. I don't want to just file them away. So on this bulkhead, which you'll see later on, I was able to put all of their artwork up there, and it's been up there for a while now. But it's still beautiful and lightens up the space and really makes it their own because it's their artwork. In addition to that, with artwork, if anything is left behind for me, like I'll find it on our little table out there. I will put it up in the space, whether it's on the walls or on the door. They don't realize it's a door, but my desk is there. So it's like my secret little pathway to the teen space. But I will put it up. And usually if I get a ton, like I'll switch it out every school year, like I do with the anonymous journal, just to like, encourage them to create new things. Let's see, let me go towards the future here. Yay, okay. So you can see the top left are pretty little bookends. I was pretty excited about those. But I also got permission to move things again to create a bigger, more cohesive space. You can see the top pictures of our maintenance team working hard and being wonderful and removing things for me and shifting shelves over and just creating a larger space. And they were able to remove it was like 5 columns of, you can see how tall that is, 5 columns of mystery books for me. And I was able to remove that and have even more extra space. And this is just sort of a view from that angle now that everything was moved. Beforehand, these shelves would have been like over here, just kind of blocking. It was just chopped the space in half, which not fun. But anyways, I'm super excited about that. You can see down here where it created a big open space. I have just these sort of makeshift posters that I put saying teen expansion, like coming soon. And I have Post-its there that I ask for their advice, what they want to see there, how they would how they think the space would feel like their own. So I got like plants, I've got posters, of course. I have asked them what kind, so I'm waiting on that. Oh, what else was it? Charging stations, which I have, that's also in my plans. But it's been really fun to try and get them involved, even if it's sort of in an anonymous way. Here you can see there's my secret door right there. And this is just covered in artwork right now. This is an older picture, but it's covered in artwork right now. And this table here is still there. That was one of the tables from my predecessor, and she was able to acquire. This is the Atlas stand that I turned into a little maker space. These two I saved from another branch for a pop of color. Like I was just upcycling to my heart's content as much as I could to try and make this a more welcoming and actual, space that youths would want to be in versus, the rest of the library. Here is all the artwork that I mentioned before that we had for the 50th. It is still up there today and I love it. And I'm adding to it slowly with my new teens in my club. And these are the new signs that I had mentioned along with the bookends. So colorful pop of color and, fun font. And it's really just attractive for the eye when you're walking into that space. You're like, ooh, what's all of that? And additionally, you can't quite see it, but here I have some anime scrolls. So I have like my Death Note and a Naruto scroll that used to be mine, but I was like, I'm gonna put them in my house somewhere. So I gave them to the library. They hang above the manga. So I think it was a really smart kind of move once I had moved the manga to the front, to have that there also to be like, look here, like this is where the manga is. Additionally, with this space that we had opened up, I put this little coffee can out there to get them to vote. There were 3 options, and those 3 options were intentional. I had a project with there was 3 teens or 3 high school seniors from Glenburnie High School last year, and they had a community challenge project, and basically they partner with community organizations, and the organization offers them a challenge, like, what would you do to help us fix this kind of thing? So my challenge was, can you create like a blueprint of like the ideal library teen space? So that's what they did, and they did a really awesome job. Like they even did like a mock-up with like a floor plan. It was great. But they did research into colors and how they affect emotions, and I had read about that before, but it was really interesting to see what they came up with. So I went ahead and chose just 3 options for them to vote on. But so like there was a great mist, so purple, the cucumbers like a green, and the 3 was wallflower, so kind of a pink, but they're all very soft, and I wanted that space to be soft and relaxing for them when they come in after school. Just like, I'm just going to relax here and chill and like draw or play games or do whatever I want to do here. So that's why those colors were chosen. They did vote. I had like about 26 votes or so, and they voted on number 2. So there will be cucumber there eventually, hopefully by June, I'm really hoping. And there's even more ideas for that space. I've got chalk paint. That's going to go on there. I'm going to have a big chalkboard right in the middle. Think cafe, and then they can draw on it and all of that. I also want to replace this table with like a high top bar, like a laptop bar for them. So I've got visions, and I luckily have support from our foundation and from my supervisor and my team at the branch. So it's really just evolved into this great space. When I started, they did not hang out there anymore. It was like, you could see tumbleweeds, like literally just coming down. So it's really been great to see it evolve and see it be used and see them just go straight there when they walk in the building. So it's been really awesome to see that and really try and make it their own and really try and give them options. There's this rug in here before that my predecessor had she was able to get them to vote for the rug. So that was another thing that they sort of, helped with. They had decision making. And just like with the poster stuff, I'm like, tell me which posters. I'm not just going to get random posters. It's all about getting their input and getting them involved and making them really feel like it's theirs, and we're not just like shoving things onto them. But I could go about this all day because I have so many ideas for it and I'm super excited. But I will pass it off to Katrina, who will talk about the virtual aspect of how AACPL is trying to create a space for teens.
Thank you, Laura Lee. Hello, everyone. I'm Katrina Threet I'm a library associate at the Lincoln Library for Anne Arundel County. I specialize in early literacy and teen programming. And I love creating physical spaces for teens and children to learn and play and be part of their environment, either through mini maker spaces, passive programs, where they can share their work, much like Laura Lee, and again, having a comfortable, safe place for teens to hang out. And with kind of keeping that in mind, I've transitioned that from a physical space to a virtual space. And one of our regular requests from our teens is volunteer hours. In our public school system, we have that as a requirement. So they're always coming to us, to help shelve books and whatever they can do. Unfortunately, most of our focus is in summer. One, they have time, but they're looking out through the school year. So one of my coworkers back in the fall of 2018, Sam's Line, she was a librarian at Severna Park at the time. Now she's their branch manager. She shared a link from an article from Teen Services Underground, and I can share that in chat later, about how to create a teen review crew. And she shared that with our school outreach program librarian, KT Zawadny, at the time, to see if a similar program would work here in our system, Anne Arundel. And perfectly at that, timing works for everything. KT connected that to our partnership with the school system, and they had a service portal where students can go online and find out what volunteers or what companies or partners have volunteer programs that are in need, or any events that might need an extra hand. So we're like, perfect. What a great way to connect schools and get them involved and active with us. And so we kind of floated a lot of ideas about between a small group of teen programmers and our virtual services department about what platforms to use. For instance, in the past, we'd used Tumblr and tried Snapchat, and they both didn't quite fit or have a lot of sustainability. So we decided a perfect place is just, make that space on our website where they could post their reviews, but also have access to all of our resources and see upcoming teen events, and make it kind of like a one-stop shop for them to know what's going on in our county, and what they can be a part of and how they can be a part of it. So that started officially where we would get start opening up to requests on the summer of 2019. We had the Club 11 review crew, which is such a groovy name. And then it kind of had a slow start. Again, they weren't really looking until summer, but that first year we had 36 reviews submitted. And then, the team kind of shifted because, in-branch programs required more focus. So, but I was determined that this was a great opportunity and I didn't want to lose that like we had with Tumblr or Snapchat. So, I stuck it out And then, oh, COVID. We know how that went. But, I kind of liked that because now I had a captive audience for my reviews. They were looking for many places that had been doing volunteer hours were no longer taking volunteers, but teens still had that requirement for our school system. So I created like an outside team of volunteer editors who'd sign up for a month over about a quarter's time. So they only had to do a 1 month commitment to kind of keep an eye on when reviews would come in, do kind of a short edit on them, if there's like a missing apostrophe or didn't quite meet our guidelines, they would respond to them. And it doesn't require a huge amount of commitment from my team members. It usually takes about an hour or so when a review comes in, just to respond and edit and post. And then once everything kind of settled in with COVID and we knew where we were going, it really picked up speed and it stayed pretty steady. In 2021, we had 86 reviews submitted. And we used a majority of those. I think out of the 86, we did have to turn down probably about 10 because they didn't meet our guidelines. And then on our slide there, you'll see our link to where it is. It should be on our website too. So kind of taking that success, if you will, of our teen review crew and what was going on in the world, kind of having limited access to programs and having a limited space to kind of connect, because there's a lot of talk on our main social media pages. And I felt like they were kind of getting lost. And there wasn't really a way to reach out to them through those channels. So that showed that there was an audience for them now, that they were all online and we needed to meet them where they are. So we were able to start up our Instagram, AACPL Teen. And we're getting, I didn't look this morning, at last look, we had 191. So that's not too bad for our first year. We started in July of 2021 and we're coming up on 200 followers, and I'm pretty sure summer will help with that. But I figured Instagram not only gives us a space to share the reviews from our website and our upcoming events, but we're trying to incorporate their own voices, either showing off what they've done in our programs, how we've had a lot of volunteers come in and help with watershed stewards and creating their own space at our branches, and making a more welcoming and natural space, and some other ways that they've connected with us and really celebrating their achievements in our community. And I don't think that gets enough coverage. That, we kind of sometimes it's like, how do we meet the teens? What do they need? But, this is showing them what they need. And it's been a kind of a privilege to see that grow and celebrate with them and keep them up to date with things. And I think that was all I had. So sorry, one more thing. On our other slide, you saw the reviews. We've added bonus hours if they're going to be brave enough. Thank you, Laura Lee, to share creative pictures of themselves and what they've read. So we've had quite a few recently, and those are just 2 of them there. So please like, follow, and share.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you so much. And of course, now my dog decides to start barking. So wonderful. And I know we've got a few questions that Anita has tracked kind of trickling through the chat. So maybe I'll throw it to Anita. She's been keeping track, and then I'll pick up on anybody that has anything else that they're thinking about before the top of the hour. We've got about 10 minutes for Q&A. So Anita?
All right, started with William, and when you were speaking, William, someone noticed you using the term fan of color and wanted to know what you meant by the word fan.
Just like anybody else is who engages with any type of media, whether it be television, movies, comic books, anime, manga, that sort of thing. Just anybody who's a fan of it.
Great, thank you for clarifying that.
Mhm.
Also, someone had kind of a two-part question here. What do you find a signaler for an inclusive space for teens? So is there something that you notice right off the bat when you have a space, when you view a space for the first time, that either offends you or that attracts you to a space?
Is this for me?
Yes, I'm sorry, William, that's for you.
Honestly, it's on a case-by-case basis. Usually librarians are some of the most empathetic and caring people. They're trying, so I take that into account. I mean, it's honestly, effort is the most important, and that's what matters. There's nothing you can do wrong as long as you're trying to be better.
I appreciate that. That's good for me to hear personally. So then we move to Katrina. As you were talking, someone asked if you could put the Review Crew website in the chat. Are those the links that you've been popping in there?
Yes, Laura Lee's gotten them.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Laura Lee, for doing that. Let's see here. And then someone says, sorry if I missed this. Oh, do they get volunteer credit for doing these reviews, or is it just for fun? Is there something that you do more than just the hours that they get for school? Or and then along with that was, how do you log the volunteer hours for these reviews? Do you have a template or something that you use?
So we log them through the school, and I keep a log just through a basic Excel. What we do, if you'll see if you explore it, it is just a Microsoft form that they fill out, and that creates an Excel sheet which fills in all those answers, and then next to it we'll put in our extra notes. And then that goes to actually, we've just been collecting it. I should probably send that on to our volunteer coordinator. Thank you for letting me know about that.
Well, we also encourage them to do it on their student portal,
Yes.
because we have just like, I'm not sure if we've renewed it, but there's like a permanent entry in there for Review Crew, and they can go in there and be like, yeah, I did this, and check mark, they get an hour.
And then we approve it.
Yeah, and then we also give them, when we communicate to them, we send them an email that says, make sure you mark this on service portal, but you did get an hour. So that's kind of another form of documentation that they have.
Okay, and you don't have access to their student portals to approve on there, right? You approve it on a piece of paper or something, but they just log it themselves on their student portal?
We
Yeah.
have access to the student portal as a partner.
I'm
so
not sure we can approve things though, can we? Or can we just enter?
We can approve their hours.
Yeah.
So they put in their hours, and then we go in and confirm that, yes, they did it.
Great. And then someone wants to know, is it that, do you have it set up so that each review counts as 1 hour of volunteering, or is there some other way you sort that out?
One review counts as 1 hour. We figured that would be the easiest way to count it, because, you know, reading a book, how many hours does it take? It would be different for everyone. So just kind of keep it easier, and easier to count, easier for them to count, to keep it 1 hour. And then they get the bonus hour for if they do a creative photo for our teen Instagram.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for answering all those questions. And Carrie, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Anita, for that eagle eye on the chat and for making sure that we didn't leave any question unanswered. Anybody else, anything to ask our co-panelists? We've got a few more minutes that might be thinking about in terms of space. I think we know the teens are all bringing their experiences, but I love the fact that we can look at space and see it in so many different ways. We can look at it from a physical space, an inclusivity space, a virtual space, so many ways to reach our teens through what we have to, and I will even put out there that outreach space that Christina talked a lot about this morning, how to get to them. There's so many different ways that we are trying, as William said, we are trying our hardest to connect with them. So anything else you all can think of that you would like to ask?
I did ramble, so I apologize for that. So
No,
Same
please.
here.
no, it's all good. Everything, you just all have it in your heads, and it's just getting it shared that's so important. I am going to ask a very unrelated question, Laura Lee. I can't figure out where you are. Are you home or are you in the library? Because I see dogs and cats, but you look like you're in the library, so I'm fascinated.
I am in my home library. Yeah.
Wonderful.
But I've got all my animals back here.
Yeah. Well, you've got a great collection behind you.
Thank you.
And I spy a pedal sewing machine back there. Love it.
It's actually just like the bottom, but I found it at Salvation Army or something. So it's like it's just like a hall table now, but I had to have it. But yes, but it still does the spinny thing.
Oh, we do have one more thought here in the chat. Do you have any tips about getting funding and permission for a physical space? This is from Brianna. Thank you, Brianna, for that.
Yeah. So my predecessor, we had a different branch manager at the time. So and our branch manager was also the regional manager at the time. Since then, those positions have been split, thankfully. But it took a lot of just asking if it was possible just to move the space, because it requires like a maintenance request and getting them out there to move the shelves, and like they have to prioritize, the requests as they come in. So it was that kind of thing. Also, it was a bit harder for our branch because we've been on the list to get a new building for like a decade, and it hasn't happened. And so that was a lot of, that influenced a lot of the decisions of like, well, maybe not yet because we're supposed to get the building, and then, we haven't. So that was one aspect of it. I have a different branch manager now, and she supported like removing things. And that was more just like a branch level sort of decision. So just like, can we do this, like to make this space more cohesive and just bigger for them, and we can have programming back here, because at my location we no longer have a meeting room. It got transformed into extra staff workspace, so now my programming has to happen out on the floor anyway. So it's become like a dual use space. And in terms of purchasing things, we have what we call the Library Foundation, which is, it's kind of like a Friends of the Library type thing, but they raise money for the library. And then we can submit like requests to them for big purchases. For smaller things, each branch has a foundation funded credit card, and we're able to use that. And it's free. What's the word? More money is put back onto it every fiscal year. And so we're able to use that basically to our heart's content with the permission of like our branch supervisors. And anything we used to have, Katrina, do we still have foundation requests that are
Yes.
right? Okay.
Because
But
the
it's
credit
more than a
card,
certain amount.
the credit card is a limited amount, but if you want any like big purchase requests,
Okay.
it goes through foundation.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a couple of ways that we had to kind of finagle our way into getting things, or from other branches we have on our intranet, staff are like, who wants this? We're getting rid of it. Like, grab it and you can change it and use it your own way. And let's see.
Yeah, there's like, we'll have to probably use this as our wrap up question, but if either you could-
Preference.
yeah, closed versus open, and then whether there's a specific budget for YA or if it's just kind of part of the general branch.
As part of the general, I basically just got to be like, I want this, this, and this. Can I have it? Because I'm. It's not officially in my title, but I'm the youth services person there. And then in terms of closed or open, our Odenton branch has a closed one. I would like that, like in the future, but right now it's open. And but I do have markers there that says like reserved for teens or reserved for students. And I really have to be consistent with that and make sure they see us, advocating for them and actually making sure that the space is theirs. So right now it's open, but I really think it's still worth it to just make a space out of what you've got. Like I mentioned, our building's 50 years old. We have like one outlet that I can utilize over there, which will be fun when I get those chargers going. But it's really just like getting creative with what you have and the space you have and the things you have access to before you go into, can I buy these things? But yeah. I hope that answers your questions.
Thank you, Rolly. Yeah, coming the masters of repurposing and DIY, and so wonderful. Thank you so much. This was a great session, William and Laura Lee and Katrina. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your last name. You should have corrected me from the very beginning. So sorry. So Katrina Threet and Laura Bidwell and William Wallace. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. It is 1:59. We will stop the recording here and have that on the